I don't know if anyone has seen 90 Day Fiancé, but I feel like I'm about to do a tell-all right now. So I'm just gonna address the elephant in the room. I am all by myself. Insert that song, all by myself. Yeah, that's me right now. Molly is gonna be taking a little break from the podcast right now just because she has so much going on and she is working hard and making that bag, which we respect. So I'm gonna be taking over it for a little bit. I'm gonna see if I could get other people to join, like my sister again, maybe my dad again, some friends, just to interest you guys and not only be me, because who wants to hear me talk by myself for over an hour? I mean, I could, but I'm trying to save you guys. So we're gonna see how this goes. I kind of have ghosted everyone on social media regarding the podcast just because I've been reconstructing it. So instead of doing episode highlights on YouTube, I'm just going to post the full length podcast. So it's going to be on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. So you could either listen to the full episode on those platforms, or on YouTube you could listen to the full episode with the video. And then I'm going to attempt to do YouTube shorts where I have little funny clips of the video that are shortened, obviously YouTube short, and see how that goes as well, because I feel like they're kind of like TikToks and Reels, so why not give it a shot. I was also deciding on a new set. So I'm currently in the living room of my house, and when I have guests, this area will be like in the middle and people will be on the other side of the couch. Or maybe I'll like FaceTime someone and I'll just include their video. But yeah, it's harder for me to film usually downstairs just because I have my godparents with me and they're usually in the other living room watching TV or playing games on their phone or just talking or maybe getting a snack in the kitchen. But I've been able to talk to them and find a way for me to record here, so I work around their schedule whenever they're not here to do so. I'm usually in the office, but I wanted to give you guys more of a structure where you're seeing consistency. So consistency in our posts, consistency in our quality, and consistency in location. So I got that going on and I kind of love it. But other than that, what has been going on? I got a diamond dots and it's actually on my table. I would grab it, but I'll just like insert a clip or something like that just so you could see it. It is, I believe it's like a marketplace or something like that. I've never done a diamond dots before, and I think I'm obsessed with it. It's taken me probably 10 hours of working on it now, and I still have so much to do. But I love putting a show on in the background and just going at it. I got it from Michael's, and I'm sure you're thinking of that diamond dots where they have the diamond dots and they also have like a paint by number, and it's this more known popular brand for diamond dots and stuff like that. I got the cheap one. Mine was like $14.99, and I also had a $5 coupon and the Michael's 20% off coupon. So guys, when you're shopping, make sure you're using all those deals. So I only paid like $7 for it, and paying $7 for it and working on it for so long, it's so worth it. And I don't know what I'm gonna do with it after. I don't know if I'm gonna hang it. Who knows? I might just start a collection where I get all of them. We'll see. And other than that, Stranger Things came out, guys. So I've been watching Stranger Things, and I think so far this is my favorite season. And I'm only maybe 14 minutes from finishing part 1 of it. So I need to get that done. I do. I'm trying to get on it. I was supposed to finish yesterday because literally when it first came out, I binge watched all the episodes, but I was doing other stuff while watching the last few, so I had to keep rewatching and rewatching. It's kind of like when you do an assignment at school and it's like a reading, and they're like, oh, read this chapter, and you're like, oh, okay, so you read the chapter, but you don't retain any of it, so you have to redo it. And I've seen videos where like people give themselves rewards of like gummy bears and stuff. That ain't gonna help me. That ain't gonna help me get it done. That ain't gonna help me pay attention. I mean, I will get it done, but will I retain it? Probably not. So that came out, and then also um, Obi-Wan Kenobi, the series. I was about to say General Kenobi because you guys know if you're Star Wars fans. Um, so that came out, and it was actually postponed. It was supposed to come out on Wednesday, and it didn't come out until Friday. So they gave us 2 episodes. And right now, I'm not really sure how I feel about it. I think mainly it's because it's in like the early stages of it where they're just introducing everything. So, I don't know. I'll give you my opinion as the time goes on and we get more episodes. I felt like the first and second episode were just giving context to everything, and then the second episode, I felt like half of it was just like hiding or running, and I'm like, but where is the action that I want to see? But then again, I don't even know what I was expecting from the series. I think I was just expecting to see Anakin. I'm like, that's all I want. I want Anakin. So we'll see with that. And speaking of that coming out on Friday, then for Saturday, I was supposed to go to car races in Wall Stadium, and I was going to take my nephews because it was a demolition derby. And those are the best, along with the modifieds, which are usually there, but not a demolition derby. Demolition derby is once in a blue moon. So I was going to take them, but they ended up canceling it due to it being rained out. But it was also partially just because it's Memorial Day weekend. The track is a business, and the business has to come first, so they obviously weren't getting a lot of people to go because a lot of people are going on trips with their family for the weekend. A lot of the vendors like don't really want to go because they also want to spend the weekend with their family, so it wasn't a good time for them to have it. So instead I ended up going to a pub near my house, and this pub is, I believe it's an Irish pub, and they had a karaoke night. So I went with my sister's boyfriend, Kyle, and we all had a good time. We got a couple drinks. I got a water. So by drinks for me, it's always going to be a water, unless I did go to a wedding and I got a Shirley Temple. So I'm either getting a Shirley Temple or a water. That's the only or if I'm at Taco Bell, a Baja Blast. I'm getting off topic. Anyway, we went to this karaoke thing. It was very fun. I would definitely go again with like Molly or my friend Amy, and I would love for us to actually go up and sing something. Doesn't have to be good, but just the atmosphere. For Molly's birthday, we went to Atlantic City with her roommate and we did karaoke there, so I just think it would be a great time. And my go-to songs would probably be Misery Business by Paramore, or I had a whole list yesterday and now I'm just kind of blanking on it. I don't even know. But yeah, that would probably be a top one. Or maybe something from High School Musical. Gotta Go My Own Way. I would love for us to be singing both parts at the same time. So it's not me singing Gabriella or them singing Troy. It's me singing Gabriella and Troy and also them doing the same. Because it's just fun. It's funny. Everyone has a good time. So, yeah, that's definitely gonna be another time I go there. And that's kind of been my week as of right now. I did also, actually, oh my god, that's not my whole week. So, I did a 5K today at a winery in Pennington, New Jersey, and I didn't run. I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna be real with you. I don't really run. Occasionally, I'll feel the need to run and do like maybe a 5 minute or 7 minute run. Otherwise, I do not run. So I went with my dad and my sister has actually been training for this. So she ended up finishing in 44 minutes, which is great because that was her first time ever doing a 5K, and she did it with some people from work. And then my dad and we just walked the whole thing. It was cute because some people brought their dogs on walks. There was like a little corgi and a dachshund. It was just a very fun time. Though, we were doing the mile and there was also a dead squirrel in the road, which wasn't my favorite, but otherwise it was great. It was nice walking around, seeing everyone's farms in the location. Saw a few horses, saw a couple of goats, and then you go back to the winery and they give you a glass of wine. So, very nice way to enjoy the day, and the weather was perfect. So that's all of it. That's my week. I'm done boring you guys with that. Now we're actually gonna get into everything. So hey everyone, welcome to the Smidging Hour. It's Alyssa, and today I want you Smidges to join me through the mystery of the Pollock sisters. So I have an article that's from grunge.com and also medium.com. And I just took a couple things from each of the articles to kind of pull the story together into one concise thing. I have my notes printed, but I actually made it like a script, so I'm not reading from the article itself. I'm just pulling sentences or information from it. So I'm going to get into the accidents surrounding the sisters. So there was a Sunday morning in May 1957, and there was a woman who had forcibly been separated from her children. So she was very depressed, very desperate, and she wanted to commit suicide. So to do so, she attempted to take lethal doses of aspirin and phenobarbital, which I believe is a medication for epilepsy. And then, having these in her system, she decided to drive in an attempt to get in a collision. So she drove erratically through streets of Hexham, Northumberland, England, and her final stop was at a wall that ran along a sidewalk. So she rammed right at it, but didn't end up dying. The collision instead ended up killing 3 children, and amongst the children was 11-year-old Joanna Pollock, her sister that was 6 years old, Jacqueline Pollock, and their friend Anthony. Now the girls ended up being pinned between the car and the wall, and it ended up killing them instantly, whereas their friend Anthony, who was only 9 years old, died en route to the hospital. So, of course, the woman was taken into custody, and after that she ended up in a psychiatric facility. I don't really know much more about the woman, and I didn't really look into her more and her story just because I wanted to focus on the sisters. So, this story gets into reincarnation. The more you know. So, their father was Catholic. His name was John Pollock, and he believed in reincarnation and used to pray for proof of it. And this apparently was before the girls actually even died. Like, this was just something that he believed in and he wanted to know. He needed to know. So he believed that the death of his daughters was actually a punishment for praying so much for proof of reincarnation. So was this a bad thing, or did it end up being what he wanted, So his wife Florence did not entertain the idea of reincarnation, and she ended up getting pregnant, and he told her that it had to be Joanna and Jacqueline, and they will both reincarnate into the child or children that they have. Though the doctor told Florence that she was only going to have one child. Well, what do you know? She ends up having 2 twin daughters. and their names are Gillian and Jennifer. They ended up having them over a year after the incident. They had them on October 4th, 1958. And from their birth, immediately the parents noticed a resemblance between their new daughters and their now deceased ones. So, for Jennifer, she had a birthmark on her left hip that was identical to the birthmark that Jacqueline had. And also, not only was there that birthmark, but there was also a slightly depressed mark on her forehead, which smidges. I would also like to say I have a mark on my forehead, a little Harry Potter moment. When I was younger, I don't know if I told this story. My grandpa was in the basement, and I was at my grandpa's house, obviously. So he's in the basement, and I'm going to see him. So I'm standing by the door, and he opens the door, and it whacked me right in the head. So that's how I have this little mark. It doesn't show often though. Sometimes it shows when I smile or just, I don't know, depending on the day or if you're really even looking. But looks like I'm twinning with the sisters too. Okay. Am I reincarnated? Who knows, you know. So anyway, going back, there was a slightly depressed mark on Jennifer's forehead as well. And it was right over her right eye. And this one was also identical to a scar that Jacqueline had over her right eye that she got when she accidentally fell and hit her head on a bucket. So just a couple coincidences there. And it keeps going. There's so many coincidences. So when the twins were 9 months old, the family moved away from Hexham. And 3 or 4 years later, they actually decide to return for the first time. And Gillian and Jennifer were very familiar with the area. They wanted to cross the road, to go to the park and the swings, and they clearly knew their way around the town. And then as they continued to get older, the similarities kept showing up more and more. So when Gillian and Jennifer were 3 years old, they were presented with old toys of their sisters, and there was no fight over them. They immediately knew what toys they wanted, and they evenly split them, as Gillian claiming Joanna's toys as her own and Jennifer claiming Jacqueline's toys as her own. Now, I don't know if these toys were labeled, but it is very weird because I could be looking at both boxes of toys and be like, oh, I want that doll, I want that bear. But the fact that they evenly divided it and were like, no, this whole box is mine, you could have that one. A little suspicious, a little suspicious. As Molly would say, a little sussy. Oh my god. I haven't heard her say that in forever. It's okay, we're gonna keep it alive, guys, don't worry. So, other similarities. Since Joanna was 5 years older than Jacqueline, she had taken a more motherly and responsible role towards her younger sister. And then when the twins were born, they also noticed this resemblance. And then Joanna loved experimenting with costumes and acting in plays that she made up. Gillian was exactly the same. Joanna and Jacqueline were raised predominantly by their grandmother just because their parents were busy working. And by the time that Gillian and Jennifer were born, their parents were able to be there for them to raise them themselves, but they always went to their grandmother for love and for guidance instead of their own parents. And then also, Joanna and Jacqueline liked combing people's hair, especially their fathers. So did the two twins. And also, right before her death, Jacqueline was still learning to write, and her teacher had told her parents that something needed to be done about the girl holding a pencil upright, which is actually funny because that's how my one sister holds a pencil. If I had a pencil, she's kind of like this, I believe. Like she has her pinky in and the pencil kind of sits like this. I just realized, for those listening, you don't understand what I'm saying. So she has her pinky in, and then her 3 fingers are around the pencil. So yeah, I think that makes sense. But anyway, going back to this and why this was relevant, it was because when Gillian and Jennifer started learning to write, Gillian held the pencil correctly right away. But Jennifer ended up struggling until she was 7, and still, even as a young adult, she reverted to that old way of just holding her pencil straight up, just like her sister did. And some other similarities, Joanna had a slender build, while little Jacqueline was a little more stocky, and Gillian was slender, and Jennifer was stocky, just like Jacqueline. Jennifer and Gillian were also, crazy enough, incredibly frightened by cars. So, a couple instances where this was seen, they were very skittish when it came to crossing streets. One time they heard a car engine in an enclosed alleyway, and they were horrified. They clung to each other and screamed that the car was going to be coming for them. And some of these things, some people think that these were things that the parents implemented in their child. That, oh, you should be frightened of cars. But then it goes into more depth, and some of these things that the girls say or the girls experience, there's no way that a parent would maybe say this to a child about their sisters or instill that on a child. I mean, you can't be frightened of cars your whole life. And I understand that you lost a child from it, but you would teach them more to be cautious, not to be horrified by it. So, another instance, there was a day when Florence saw Gillian cradling Jennifer's head, saying, "The blood's coming out of your eyes, that's where the car hit you." And their father reported that when he identified the bodies of his previously deceased daughters, Jacqueline's head was bandaged above the eyes. Now, the girls' memories of their former lives as they got older did start to fade away, and this started to begin around the age of 5. However, Gillian occasionally would have visions in which she saw herself playing in a sand pit in Wickham, which is a town the family lived in when Joanna was around 3 years old. And Gillian was able to describe the lawn perfectly, the house, the gardens, when she never had even stepped foot in there. And around the age of 7 was when these memories visions completely stopped. And as adults, they seemed to accept that they were, in fact, Joanna and Jennifer, reincarnated, even though they couldn't remember any of these stories that they had told their parents or other people, or coincidences from their early years. So even they ended up showing a mild skepticism towards the notion of reincarnation as they got older. And some people wonder if maybe they had learned about their sisters through their parents and inherited or taken on these personas due to it. Maybe it was forced upon them to act this way because they wanted so badly to have their previous daughters back. And again, the fear from cars, they think maybe it could be from the parents' fear of cars. But the thing is that when I was looking and researching and going through these articles, it never really said about the parents fearing cars before this. I'm sure that they had some PTSD or problems with cars due to losing their daughters. Like, I'm sure it takes a huge toll on you. But again, as I was saying before, like some of the things where, Gillian or Jennifer was saying how, oh, the cut's coming from your eyes because you got hit by a car, or they were like screaming that the car is gonna get them. I don't think that's something that the parent would force on their child. I don't think they would be like, oh, this happened to your sister, you gotta watch out for cars. I'm sure they did say, oh, yeah, your sisters, we did lose them because there was a lady who hit them with a car. But I don't think they would go into this gory detail of how they were killed or traumatize the children. Because one day the children are gonna have to drive, like, they're gonna have to do things. So I would think that they would look at this as a way to start over and to protect their children, not to frighten them in the process of trying to protect them. And again, I'm sure the parents did talk about the girls, but I'm just not sure if they talked in as much detail as skeptics may think. Like, I don't think they were like, oh, these are Joanna's toys, these are Jacqueline's toys, you're her, take them. Or they were like, oh, your sister acted this way, you're her, take them. But then again, the father, he believed in reincarnation and he faulted himself for this, so maybe he felt like he had to enforce this on the children and he had to make them believe that they were their sisters because maybe that was his coping. But again, we have no idea. I'm sure that the mother wouldn't have done this just because she was so against reincarnation. I do believe in reincarnation, so I wanted to talk about that a little bit. I've seen tons of videos people post where they lose a grandmother or a mother or a father or whoever, and they're always like, oh, my parent or sister or grandmother told me that they would come back as a butterfly, so they see butterflies everywhere. So I do like to believe in that that's a sign that they're still there. And I also have a couple stories. So this isn't necessarily reincarnation, or it could be. It's more of just maybe making note that you're there even though you're gone. So I did have a cousin who passed away when I believe he was 7 due to a brain tumor, and I had never met him because I was either not born or I was too young. And he ended up passing away, and then his mother ended up having another son. I don't know how far apart, but she had this other son, and when he was born, he had a blonde streak in his hair, and his brother who had passed away had blonde hair. So I like to believe in signs like that. I do also have a family friend who, I don't know if she still has it, but when she was born, she had like a dark brunette hair, and she had this one streak of gray. And they believed it was from the grandmother. And if I'm not mistaken, she still has it today, but it was very slight, and so you have to really like search through her hair to find it. But that's kind of all I have regarding this, and I would like to believe that the Pollock sisters were reincarnated in their twin sisters. And now it is time for Nebula. We have made it. So, focus of the week. Leadership and independence. So love and career are both 70% right now, and health is 60%. So my standout days are Tuesday, Saturday, and Sunday. So this week brings out your confidence and desire to assert your autonomy and independence. The moon in your sign opposite Saturn on Sunday opens the way for your own leadership skills to be expressed. You can uniquely uncover the ways you relate to the concept of leadership and your own personal power and self-expression in this regard. Romantic situations are supported this week by clarifying conversations and precise communication. As Mercury enters a retrograde cycle on Friday, you feel more methodical and careful in how you discuss things with a lover. This ends up being a good thing, and you could feel the gentle breakthroughs can be made in how you understand each other. You can be craving more sweetness in your life right now, especially as the moon aligns with Venus on Saturday. This can mean that you are needing more emotional gentleness with yourself and from others. Let yourself indulge, rest, and find enjoyment where you can. The new moon at the beginning of the week invites fresh energy into your social life. There are unfolding connections that can take place and generous moments of exchange and understanding. You will tend to take on different roles than your norm in your circle of friends. This can be a refreshing switch up. Alrighty, I felt like that one was a little short this week. Okay, Smitches, so that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for listening, and please like and subscribe to us on YouTube, as well as follow us on SoundCloud, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. If you could give us likes, ratings, whatever's available, please do. It helps us out tremendously, and we really want to grow this, so the best way to do so is with your help. Also, you can find us on most social media platforms: Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all at the Smitching Hour. As for my personal, it's AlyssaGrace_X on Instagram. That's where I usually am. And again, I just truly want to thank you guys for listening, and thank you for all the support. So bye, Smitches. I'll see you in 2 weeks.